Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Today in Titletown Packers podcast. My name is Griffin. You can follow me on Instagram at AllDayPackers, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend Bron, who you can follow on Instagram at Lambo.Leapers, and we are back. The excitement is up. The football season is just around the corner. Opening week, week 1, Packers taking on the Vikings. I'm excited. Bron, how are you?
Hey, Griff. Yeah, I'm great. Super excited for the season to start. Just a long off season. But we're getting closer and closer every day to hopefully a good football team this year with a chance to win a Super Bowl.
It's weird because it's like the entire offseason, it feels like the Packers have been undervalued. Like, we lose Devonta and everyone's down on the Packers. But I don't know. Have you noticed, like, as we get closer to this opening week, it feels like people are backing the Packers more. I've seen a couple of Aaron Rodgers MVP predictions in the media. It feels like people are excited to watch this team because after the preseason, after the training camp that this team had that we attended, Bron, people forget, Romeo Doubs looked like he's going to be a player. Christian Watson, we don't even know what he could be. Like, there's a lot to be excited about on this team. And I feel like people are really coming around to that, you know? And so as we get closer to this season, I'm getting more excited. It's like the week before Christmas. That's what it feels like. That's the only thing that's similar to the week before football season, dude. It's so exciting. There's so much potential. Every fan base is excited. Every fan base thinks they're going to win the Super Bowl, me included. Every year I do, and that is also true this year. So this podcast is going to be just a little bit of a preview, not only for week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings, which we're going to talk about, but it's also going to be a little bit of a season preview, right? We're going to discuss who we think is going to step up to replace Devonta at the receiver position. We're going to discuss how good we think this defense is going to be. We're going to discuss award predictions, Rodgers' success. We're going to talk about the entire season. Does that sound good, Bron? Tell me, how excited are you? And truly, compared to other years, how good do you think this team is going to be?
Well, I'm definitely excited. There's so much to be excited about because of many of the uncertainties that are usually certainties. We think about with Devonta being gone and all the opportunity in the receiving room. Those are things to be excited about, and because we don't really know who's going to step up, but it really feels like, whether it's one, a couple, or maybe a bunch of guys come out of that room as key contributors and do make that big step for us. Just so much room to – we've seen a lot of improvement and exciting things in training camp, and now when it comes to getting underneath these lights and seeing who could really go, there's a lot of chances and a lot of opportunities for those guys to really do that. So that's really exciting. Then you talk about the aspirations of this entire football team. This looks like, and we've been saying this year after year, I feel like, but this feels like, even more so than last year and the year before and the years with Mike Pettin, this feels like the best defense the Packers have had since they won the Super Bowl. But this feels like an all-star cast of guys. In other years, it was just better than what we've had in the past, which was mediocre defenses. This feels like it could be the best defense in football right out of the gate because there are truly no weak spots when everybody's playing good football. That group is just super exciting, and it could be enough to absolutely carry this Packers team into a position where everything the Packers offense does with Aaron Rodgers just supplements the fact that maybe they don't have to score 25 points a game. Maybe they can just win, and it might be a lot of blowouts this year too because I think the Packers defense is going to shut teams out and not specifically hold them to 0, but just really make teams struggle on the offensive side of the ball. And overall, that is just super exciting to me, and I'm really looking forward to how the offense, defense, and special teams can hopefully play more complementary football than it has in the past, specifically also with the special teams under Rich Bisaccia. It's just so many exciting, like I just mentioned a million things. It's so exciting because all these different things are setting us up to be in a better position than we've been in many other years to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think you said it well. When it's like every year we always have these certainties, and this year there's just so many uncertainties, and it could really turn out to be a good thing. It could go south, of course it could, but right now I'm feeling good about this team. And looking at this schedule, talking about how the defense is going to help carry this team, early on we have to expect the offense is not going to look as good week 3 as they're going to hopefully in the playoffs, right? It's like the first year in 2019, like that offense was ugly when Matt LaFleur was first brought in. And of course Matt LaFleur has been here this is going to be his 4th season in Green Bay, which is crazy that he's been here for so long already. But it's a different team with no wide receiver one, it's really going to have to be a completely different offense. And that's going to be interesting what it looks like overall. The run-pass splits is going to be really interesting to see if they attack it differently, how defense is treated.
Let me interrupt you, actually. I want to interrupt you here because I'm interested in, first of all, everybody talks about the 7-0 we've been under Matt LaFleur without Devonta Adams.
Right.
So everybody's very concerned about the offense, but in the games where they weren't sure, like these are games where Devonta Adams is unexpectedly out or it's not a planned him not being there. Right now, we've been planning an entire offseason for him not to be on the football team, and we've had a lot of success. Aaron Rodgers had tons of success without Devonta Adams in the past 3 years. What makes everybody now think that they're going to start struggling? Maybe because defenses are going to – I don't know. Like, is it an opposing defense thing that they're not going to have to just key in on Devontae? And you know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but, like, everybody thinks the Packers offense isn't going to play well. But based on what we've seen without Devontae, they've been good. And they've won games, obviously, too, being 7-0 without Devontae. I'm not sure where everybody gets this idea that the offense is going to really, really struggle. But now they've planned an entire offseason and surrounded their personnel just for that, in fact, scenario of Devontae not being there. So I don't see why they'd totally regress in any way because they've won without Devontae, and now they're planning to win without Devontae, and I feel like they're set up even more for that now.
Yeah, in games where we don't have Devontae, the 7-0 games, it's like it's clearly schematically it's a different game plan from an offensive perspective. Like we treat the game of football differently when we don't have the best receiver in the game on the field, obviously. But to play devil's advocate here, what people think about when this offense probably isn't going to be as good as they were in 2020 and 2021. That's just a fact. You lose the best player in the league at a position, it's going to show up somewhere, right? And so I think what people are expecting to happen is, we talk about every season we come out of it wishing for a wide receiver too, right? It's like we just don't have, outside of Devontae, we don't have enough playmakers. Well, now we lost Devontae. So the defense, it was easy enough for the defense to just key in on one player. Now they don't have to key on any player, So I think that's the point that people are making when they talk about that. But what I would argue against the argument I just presented is that it's the theory that I brought up in March. And it is going to be the third time that I've brought this up on the podcast, but I don't care. In case no one's heard it before, I'm going to bring it up again. I think Rodgers plays better when he has all of his receivers are on a similar skill level. You know what I mean? When they're all either great or when they're all, average. I think he is better. I think he's a better facilitator. I think he's a better quarterback when he's able to just go through his progressions. And if Devontae, most plays he's going to be the number one read, but on a given play where the number one read is maybe in the slot, Rodgers is still going to look at Devontae first just to check if he's open, So if you take that away and you just let Rodgers play within the offense, be a little bit more of a game manager, I think he's one of the best of all time at ever doing that. So I think that's why the Packers have won so many games without Devontae Adams, is because he doesn't have, it's almost a liability sometimes when he has to check Devontae, because you only get max 3 seconds in the pocket before the ball's got to be out of your hands or you're running around in the backfield. So when he's able to not have to look to his left side on every single play and just go where the play is designed to go, I think he's a better quarterback that way.
That was some great dialogue on the offense, I'd say. But my point, really, I think, I don't know, we made a lot of great points. I guess that's, I don't know, the argument is basically left up to what's going to happen in the season. It's just hard to say because we just made great cases for just about 4 different ways this thing could go.
Well, how do you think, how do you expect them to come out on Sunday? Because I'm expecting growing pains. I'm expecting things. No, I'm expecting here's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting them to lean on the run a lot. And maybe it's not going to go so well. Maybe it will because we have a pretty good offensive line. But maybe it's not going to go so well. And the pass plays maybe just aren't going to be there. Because I think the Matt LaFleur offense at its core is based off the play action game, which in and of itself is based off the run game. And so I could see a lot of plays just the passing efficiency not being there right away. What say you, Bron?
I disagree. I do. I think that Aaron Rodgers is still the MVP. And he is going to want to throw the football, and they're still going to throw the football. Matt LaFleur is going to want to throw the football, and I think the targets will be spread. Aaron Jones is going to catch some. A.J. Dillon is going to catch some. They're going to get more creative, but that doesn't mean that Aaron Rodgers is now suddenly not going to be good or not going to be the MVP. He's still the best thrower in the league. Like they're gonna throw the football and they're gonna do it well. And I don't think they're gonna shy away from it against Minnesota, whose secondary isn't anything special. That's for sure. I mean, they're under a new regime, new defense. The only thing that could scare me from their defense is really when you talk about the linebacker Eric Kendricks, and then you go to the pass rushers that they have. The interior of their defensive line is very good too. So I don't know why they'd lean towards the run in a game like this where the matchups clearly dictate an emphasis on passing. Especially with the way they did it the past 3 years to the Vikings. They've really thrown the football well, scoring 40 multiple times on them. I mean, Rodgers is just electric against the Vikings, and that secondary isn't great. I mean, Harrison Smith is the only guy there, and he's older. And he's the deep safety usually, or whether he's playing in the box or he's just not going to be that big impact coverage guy usually. So to me, I think they're going to lean heavily on passing here, and I'm expecting them to have success. The way they've set this up is that they're supposed to be still an elite football club who's going to throw the football at a high level. We can't expect anything less just because they lost Devonta. It sounds crazy, but you can't. They're telling you by the way that they've put this football team together. Brian Gutekunst, the way they've done it, they kept 7 receivers. They've got guys now. It's just like they should still. My main point is that they should still throw the football and they should expect to have success. Maybe not as much success, or not as efficient with Devonta, or not as much insanely high numbers, but throwing the football should still be their main way to go about winning football games.
So are you expecting no growing pains here? Are you what do you think the growing pains will be, if you think there will be? Because what I'm thinking is of course we still have Aaron Rodgers, but the weapons, they're also young, or they're either like Allen Lazard. We know how good Allen Lazard can be. Maybe he pops off this year, but we probably know how good Allen Lazard can be, and then everyone else is just extremely young outside of Randall Cobb. But so I'm expecting there's 7 receivers on this roster. Juwan Winfrey might be brought up for game day because he's tweeting week 1 with the emoji like he's excited for it. It's like, bro, you're on the practice squad. Maybe he's being brought up. And then we're going to roll with 8 receivers on game day. And I feel like early on especially, we're going to just be cycling these guys in and out. So yeah, you have Rodgers, who is so good, but maybe there's a point where he's trying to look for a guy and he's not as confident. He doesn't have Devonta. He doesn't have the guy that he always knows is going to be open. So that, like I said, it can help you, but on a 3rd and 8 where you're going 5 wide, maybe that's where we're going to see the impact of Devonta Adams.
My main thing with that is people are very much thinking about when Mike McCarthy was the head coach and their offense. Like, Griff, that Aaron Rodgers just talked about this on a recent podcast that he was on. That offense was predicated on matchups and winning those one-on-ones. This offense is predicated on the offense scheming guys open. So the fear should not be that guys aren't going to get open, and that's what people think, like the weapons thing. Like, the only thing that talked about was that Devonta Adams was our only guy that can consistently win one-on-ones, and that's been talked about for years and years, ever since Jordy and Randall Cobb were gone. Now Randall's back, obviously not the same player, but still very good. But they don't have that superstar type number 2 to take attention away from Devonta. Now Devonta's gone, so that issue is a little less prevalent, in my opinion. Now they don't really need a number 2 because they don't have a number 1, kind of like you talked about.
Everyone's a number 3.
So basically, it kind of reminds me of when we all remember when Chris Rock was smacked by Will Smith.
I do remember.
I posted that meme, and with the Packers fans asking for a wide receiver 2, and then Will Smith was smacking us, the Packers fans, asking for that, and Will Smith is smacking Chris Rock, and it's the Packers logo, trading our wide receiver 1. So it's kind of like we not only didn't get a wide receiver 2, but we lost our wide receiver 1. It changes that whole argument. We don't need guys now to get open because the scheme is supposed to be doing that. Now we just need guys, theoretically. Guys that can catch the football and maybe run after the catch. Getting open
That's a great point.
Isn't the thing now, right? That's what we're expecting now. This should not be we can't now blame Aaron Rodgers. We can't now blame the receivers for not getting open. Now, everything should fall on Matt LaFleur if guys aren't getting open. That's correct, right?
Right. So I feel like we have a 3-year sample size. I think 2020 was far and away the best year for this offense that we've seen under Matt LaFleur, right? 2019 was very schematic, but a little rocky. Rodgers was getting used to the play action and the motions and all of that. 2020 was the peak. 2021, and we talked about this on several podcasts last year. 2021, that's when Rodgers really started to bring his offensive background and kind of blended the Matt LaFleur offense with the West Coast offense, the offense that Mike McCarthy, the offense that Rodgers was already familiar with. That's when they really started to blend, and that's when the Matt LaFleur offense, as we know it today, which is pretty much different from all the other Shanahan offenses. The Green Bay offense is pretty different from that because it's a blend of what Rodgers knew. That's 2021 is when we really started to see that. And there were games last year, especially early on in the season when the offense really wasn't humming, where all the plays where we were matchup dependent, 4 wide, 5 wide, all the receivers, because outside of Devonta, no one's going to get open one-on-one. And that's when we started to see the trouble. And if people forget last year because Rodgers won MVP, but there were a lot of games where it didn't look pretty, and the offense had regressed from 2020. And so I feel like now that we don't have Devonta and everyone is on pretty much everyone's a wide receiver 3. They have no choice but to go back to just the schematics of it all. Just go back to the Matt LaFleur offense, which is what we saw in 2020, because 2020 was very Matt LaFleurian, if you will. And I think if they do go back to that, then you're right. They really don't need playmakers specifically at the receiver position. They just need guys who can catch the ball, because the schemes, the play designs, that's going to get them open for them. So if that's what they commit to, throw in a little bit more ground game than we've seen in the last couple of years, then I think I could see this being a productive offense that way. And we always have Aaron Rodgers, which is Jimmy Garoppolo leads one of the most efficient offenses in the league a couple years ago. Like Jared Goff has run this offense to near perfection. Rodgers takes it to a different level.
Yeah, he does. And the one thing, like we talked about with the receivers, the one thing that could challenge anything in terms of blame towards Matt LaFleur would be if the offensive line isn't holding up. But the way that group looks from a on-paper standpoint, including the depth that we have, I don't think that's going to be an issue, especially with David coming back at left tackle. Looks like he's going to play week 1 potentially. Then we've got Runyon returning at guard. We've got Josh Myers returning at center. Royce Newman probably starting at guard again. And then hopefully within the first couple weeks, Elton Jenkins at right tackle. And then the combination of the litany of young guys they've drafted over the course of the last few years, and then some of the veterans that they've got like Yosh Nijman and others that have played some good football for them in the past. The depth there is strong and exciting, and it gives you hope that whatever happens, whether it's injuries or the like, they'll be ready to go to protect Aaron Rodgers for this season.
Similar to receiver in that it's a position that I didn't really feel great about early on in the offseason. And this might be green and yellow colored glasses, honestly, but the offensive line right now, I feel really strongly about being one of the best units in the NFL. Just from left to right tackle, dude. Like, we've got players at all 5 spots. Josh Myers was the Packers' highest graded player on offense via PFF this preseason. I posted a clip of him from the Week 3 game against Kansas City where he just absolutely pancakes a linebacker on the way to the end zone on a touchdown run. He, I think, is going to have a really strong year. When's the last time it felt like we were going into a season with an offensive line this good? It feels good. And then the depth. Zach Tom was the Packers' second highest graded player on offense. Or no, the third highest graded player on offense this preseason. You know who the second highest graded player on offense was this preseason? Caleb Jones, another tackle. So there's a lot to be excited about with this offensive line group. The Packers, they always nail those picks. So that's going to be really fun. Did you want to move on to the defense here, Bron? Because we've got a lot to talk about with the defense. We've done a lot of talking about this defense over the last couple months. But, I mean, what is there not to talk about? Every single position is loaded, dude. It's so crazy, and we've never had a defense that's been like up there with the best in the league, and it feels like this could be the year that finally happens.
Yeah, because I mean, we've got the best personnel groups with just in terms of we've got the best like starting 12 or 13, 14 guys that are going to get significant minutes. I feel like we've got the best group in the league. Because Aaron Rodgers talked about it a little bit not too long ago. Rasul Douglas playing as the third corner is a pretty scary thought.
That is a luxury, dude. That is a luxury.
That is quite the luxury. Chris Barnes, who started at linebacker for us for many years now. What is it, 2, 3, whatever. He's played many
2 years
games
he's been the
with us.
starter.
Yes, many games with this Packers football team in the middle of the defense. He's going to be our third linebacker. that is great depth. Then you talk about just go across the defensive line. There is really nice depth. You've got Kenny Clark obviously up front, but then with the other question marks you've got, they're really not even question marks. They're just about who's going to step up, because it's Jaron Reed, who's been a great starter in the league for a long time, who we signed in free agency. Devonta Wyatt, who looked ferocious the first-round pick in training camp, and he's got a lot to build on. Or whether it's TJ Slayton, who's coming off a good rookie year. They've got so many guys that are just going to be balling out. And then I didn't even mention Dean Lowry, who's probably going to be next to Kenny a lot of the time. But behind them is the depth and the youth that we haven't had in a long time. And you combine that with the great starters we have. Look all across this defense. We could talk and talk and talk about it, and we have. And we will continue to once they probably give Minnesota less than 10 points this week. But it's going to be a really good matchup.
Oh, that's a really high bar you just said.
I'm not worried about it. Kirk Cousins? I'll be all right. No, well, this
Jair
is
Alexander.
age poorly.
The return of Jair Alexander, dude, I can't wait. I just got like a pump thinking about that. Seeing him today, the pictures, they just had their picture day. He's got the swagger, he's got the confidence, he locks up anyone in front of him, dude. He just got paid. This man is about to have a defensive player of the year.
He could, dude. Then he is a special guy. He's just so talented. And him with Rasul, I feel like Rasul is that same guy. Like, he's shutting guys down. Like, but all three of these guys, Stokes is too. He's just balling, man. These guys are so good. And
it's the collective confidence. It's the collective confidence of the D train.
Trash talk,
I don't know if they still call it that. You think they still call it the D train?
They got to come up with a new nickname for this group, because this.
Yeah, the D train was the old era.
That was the Mike Pettin group.
It was the Mike Pettin era of the Packers defense. This one's
that was Za'Darius too. I think Z had a hand in that one too. So
I forgot we're playing Za'Darius this weekend.
That is so sad. That's scary. I would bet a lot of money that he gets a sack this week.
Would you?
Yeah.
I'm sure you can't bet that.
You know he's gonna get a sack.
And then it's gonna be a whole thing, and oh god, I'm not.
Then he's gonna do his celebration, and it's gonna be so sad.
Yeah, he's gonna have a shirt on where whatever.
You shouldn't have cut me.
What's it gonna be like? You shouldn't have cut me. It's gonna be something, that guy with the theatrics.
Revenge.
I do miss.
Who's the captain now?
Who's the captain now?
It might just be that look. They might do the meme with the "look at me, I'm the captain now." He might just have that on his shirt. That's
the day
what I
he
would
pulls
do.
up with a meme under the shirt, that's when it's too much. No,
NFL
gonna
will
miss
post that thing
Za'Darius
40 times.
Yeah, gonna miss Za'Darius, man. He was one of my favorite players, but life moves on, and now he's a Viking, so he is the rival, and I have no love lost for him. I know you hate that phrase, Bron, but this defense
doesn't mean a thing.
The collective confidence, I feel like it's going to help them out so much. You know, all the great defenses of years past, the 2015 Broncos, the 2018 Bears, they just had that. They had a collective ego that they all thrive off of each other, you know? And it feels like we could have that group. The depth is something that I don't think we're going to talk about because we've talked about that at length, but it's pretty scary. If one of these guys go down, it could get pretty bad at cornerback and safety, but we're not going to worry about that because it's week 1, baby. Everyone's healthy.
Everyone is healthy. That's the one thing. You can't worry about injuries until they happen, and that's the goal. I mean, we're set up to have a really great team. Injuries can derail any football team, we know that, but this group is set up to have success, and that's all you can ask for. Then when there's issues like injuries and things like that, we will address them. But for now, and Brian will, mostly, but for now, this football team is ready to win, and until further notice, they are set up to do so.
All right, a few more talking points here. Give me one player that you are most excited to watch on the defensive side of the ball. Just one player. I know there's many.
How can you not go with Quay Walker, man? There's nothing more exciting than the potential of having 2 really good linebackers on this football team, something we haven't had in I don't know when. I don't know if we've ever had it in our lifetimes, but this is certainly... that's the exciting thing about this defense. You have the All-Pro, and then you have a guy who, Griff, we talked about this. He looks identical from a body type standpoint. When they stand next to each other, they look identical. And Quay is designed to defend the pass. Devondre does everything, and Quay was very good in the running game as well when we saw him, and obviously training camp, limited tackling and whatnot. But he's there filling holes and gaps, and he looked very, very good in the last preseason game. I'm not sure how much you saw of that, Griff, but his play was just stand out. he was the clear.
I know he
big
had
man
that
on
one
campus.
third down stop, the one third down
Yes.
stop against Kansas City where they throw the ball to the running back. It's like 3rd and 3 or something, and Quay just flies across the field
Squashed
to make the
him.
tackle in the flat before he can even turn around.
He was
We've
the
never
big
had a
man on
linebacker who
campus
can
in
do
that
that.
game.
I don't even know if Devondre can do that because Quay just flies, dude.
He is. Kind of like the way Darnell was moved sideline to sideline. Quay kind of
Yeah.
does that at the linebacker position. In terms of comparing, against his position, he just flies at a different speed, kind of like Darnell does. And I feel like they're very similar players in terms of their respective positions, the way they can move
Right.
sideline to sideline. So that's something that they've got at all
pursuit.
levels. They have every element of what they want at each level of the defense. They've got the guy who's very quick twitch, fast speed, sideline to sideline on every level. They've got that very strong, sound, intelligent guy, whether it's Amos and Devondre and Kenny. Like, you've got these guys that all fit a certain role on the team at each level of the defense. And it's like, again, we can talk about it all day, but on paper, this group is just so good. And then when you've got Quay and Devondre in the middle, it's just very scary for defenses because how are you going to get in the middle of the field? Who's getting open? Like, how is anybody getting open? I don't know. It's going to be
Against
tough,
the
man.
starting
That is so
lineup,
hard.
I don't know how anyone gets open, man.
No idea.
On most teams, if you pick Quay Walker in the early 20s of the first round, he's going to be your linebacker number 1. But this team already has Devondre Campbell, who was an All-Pro last year. So we are at a luxury with that, where Quay is just the cherry on top of this defense. For me, guy I can't wait to watch, already mentioned him, Jair Alexander. I can't wait for that, dude. How many years now have we been expecting the season to finally come where Jair finally starts to get all of his interceptions? Feels like we're always waiting on that year where he just goes pick crazy and people actually like respect him, like, because a lot of the cornerback respect comes down to box score scouting, as all positions do, and the interceptions matter on that front in terms of awards. So I feel like this is the year where he's finally going to get all of his pickies, because think about in 2021, in 2020, you've got Chandon Sullivan, you've got who was our old Kevin King, right? Forgot about Kevin King. Good lord.
How could you?
You've got Kevin King and Chandon Sullivan, and of course you're not going to target Jair. So now we have obvious upgrades at both of those spots, and they're not going to have a choice but to throw to Jair if they like the matchup. You can't just ignore one side of the field when the other sides of the field are as good as they are right now from the Packers defense. So I feel like he's going to see a lot more targets than he has throughout his career, and I feel like this is the year he finally gets all the picks and all the fame. So excited for Jair Alexander. Now I'm going to ask you the same position, but on the offensive side of the ball. Don't say Aaron Rodgers. Of course, we're all excited to watch Aaron Rodgers. Who are you most excited to watch on the offense outside of Aaron Rodgers?
Well, Griff, after giving this a lot of thought, I think I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. No, I'm going to go with Christian Watson. I want to say, part of me wants to say Randall Cobb, but because I think Randall's going to have a really good year. I've said this before, but I think Randall's going to have like maybe 1,000 yards this year. That's a hot take probably, but I think he's going to really play well. Or maybe it's either going to be like a lot of yards, or I think maybe the more likely one could be like double-digit touchdowns. I think Cobb's going to have a great year. But I'm going to go with Christian Watson because we don't know what he can be. And Aaron was mentioning quite a bit about how he's almost like a unicorn, and it's just like they've never seen anybody like him before. So I'm just super excited to see him on the field, like running with these guys, what he can do at the NFL level, how his size of 6'5" and speed compares to these corners that he's going to face, and how he's going to look, amongst the other guys in the receiver room. All that excites me, and I feel like he can be a truly, truly good player in this league. Even though maybe your pick, I'm assuming, is going to be Romeo. Maybe not, though. I'm interested to see who your pick's going to be. But if you're considering Romeo, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of fare in terms of their battle to get reps with the Packers' number 1 group.
It's funny you said that, because the easy answer for me would be Romeo, right? I was talking about when we were in Green Bay, I was talking about buying his jersey. Update, that never happened because they didn't have the jerseys in stock. But I would have bought it. I was prepared to buy it. But, Romeo, love the guy. But I don't want to go with Romeo because I could see him first of all, just not getting as many snaps early on as people are expecting him to. He could, but maybe they just don't give him that many snaps. That could happen. But I'm going to go with the guy I think is going to have an even better year, Aaron Jones. The return of Aaron Jones. Not that he ever went away, but I think he's going to have a very 2019 type of season where he is scoring all of the touchdowns on the ground and through the air. He had a 3-touchdown game through the air against Detroit week 2 last year on Monday Night Football. I remember that one. I feel like we could see a lot of that. I think we're going to go a lot of the 2 running back personnel packages, which is the package that everybody loves on the internet. Everyone loves that one. Don't know why they don't run it more than they do. But when you've got Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones is going to be a factor through the air, and we know how good he is on the ground. We know how he makes people miss, and I think he's going to have a return to form this season.
Okay, Griff, who's going to lead this team in receiving yards week 1?
Week 1.
I'll tell you my pick
this Sunday.
right now.
This Sunday against Minnesota, who's going to lead the league or lead the team in receiving yards?
Who's going to lead the league in this game?
I'm going to go with, oh, God, dude, I don't know. Probably Jones.
No, I'm going Sammy Watkins.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about Sammy Watkins, dude. I'm excited to watch him, man. The way Aaron talks about him, I'm excited to watch Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, when we signed him, I was really excited because he is like a veteran guy, and then you put on the film with him, and he's just got a different type of after-the-catch ability that, like, it's just a rare thing. He's just a very good receiver. I just think he's quite good. And I think he's going to fulfill a role that we haven't seen in Green Bay, apart from the things Devonta does. Outside of Devonta, because he's done everything, I just think Sammy's going to provide some things that we haven't seen from other guys.
A deep threat who provides physicality. We haven't had that in forever.
He's a strong, tough guy. Yeah.
Even Christian Watson, he's not going to be that. He's not going to bring the physicality like Sammy will. So, yeah, you're right. We haven't really had that in Green Bay in a really, really long time. So that could be fun. That feels like a signing that is similar to Devondre Campbell and Rasul Douglas from last year, where it's such what am I trying to say here? It's like a low risk. That's what I'm saying. It's a low risk signing that a lot of people probably didn't even notice. But I think, mid-season, that could be one of the best free agent signings of this free agent cycle, And he could really have a high impact on this team. And it sounds like he's going to start week 1. It sounds like he's going to be the starting X receiver. So him and Lazard, it's going to be up to them. But I think Aaron Jones is going to lead this team in receiving yards, at least week 1. I think he's going to be a big factor. What's my next question? I had it.
I got a question for you.
What's that?
Who's winning this game? Do you have any doubt that we're going to come out and win this thing? I don't. I think we're going to win. I've already seen people saying, oh, when the Packers lose this game, everybody's going to freak out and Aaron's going to this and that. And it's like, actually, I think they're going to win. Crazy enough.
Do you? Yeah, I think they're going to win as well. I think they're going to win, but I think there is a reason why they're only favored by 1.5 points, which is surprising. I saw that earlier, and I think there is a reason for that because the Vikings, a lot of people think they could be good this year, but I mean, a first-year head coach, we know this offense is tough to learn, and Kirk Cousins does have a little bit of background with this offense, but I think it's going to I think there's going to be You're going to be shocked? I would be shocked too if we lost. I think we're going to
I'll be shocked.
We're setting ourselves up for
I don't care. I really don't. I'd be shocked if they lose. I really don't care. I mean, think about it. The only issue is Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook, right? But this defense is set up. I mean, Jair is going to be able to hopefully they have packages of they know that these guys are going to play well. Jair can handle you know what I mean? Jair is not going to not play well. The defensive front with Kenny Clark and all those guys isn't going to not play well. We know that they're going to play well enough to keep us in the game. Dalvin's not going to run all over us with these linebackers. It's just not going to happen. Justin Jefferson isn't going to scorch us for 200 yards on this. Unless these guys start all playing terrible at once for some reason. You know what I mean? What we know about this group is that they're all super talented and they're going to be able to keep us afloat. Then the offense just has to play slightly good because I think the defense is going to play really well. And the Minnesota Vikings defense doesn't scare me at all. Aaron Rodgers is very good, too.
Aaron Rodgers owns the Vikings. May I remind you of Week 1 2020?
That was Rodgers one of my favorite
what
games
I would
ever.
Call one of his best games of his entire career, man. That game was
That's
insane.
one of my favorite games.
Let me throw some stats at you really quick. 72.7 completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, no picks, PFF grade of 96. That was an insane game, dude. That was a crazy game, and I feel like we could see that again because that was coming off of 2019, where a lot of people really didn't believe in this Packers offense. They didn't believe in Aaron Rodgers, and he came out and just shredded the Vikings defense as he usually does. So it could be another that type of situation again this Sunday. I have 2 more questions for you, Bron. First one, what is more likely? I'm going to give you 3 options. What is the most likely? Okay, Aaron Rodgers wins MVP, Romeo Doubs wins Offensive Rookie of the Year, or Jair Alexander wins Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, that's obviously Aaron winning another MVP.
You think that's far and away the most likely thing to happen?
Far and away. Yeah,
Okay.
That's not close. Although Jair could win that award, but it's not rare. It's rarely given to corners. Usually given to the best pass rusher most of the time. And with Romeo, I mean, I'd probably feel safer with Christian being that
Really?
award winner. Yeah, just because I think the pedigree, first-round pick. I think he might play more once he's healthy. Blah, blah,
Second
blah.
round pick.
I do that a lot. I always
do
call
that
him
a
a
lot.
first-round pick. I always call him a first-round pick, but he just is to me. I don't know. He's that talented of a player, I think. I wanted him in the first round, so if we drafted him in the first round, I would have been thrilled. We got him in the second. I was pretty thrilled. So
Yeah, we drafted him in the second just to keep the stat about Rodgers' career touchdowns to first-round picks alive. All right, last question here. It's a classic one. Give me your score predictions for this Sunday, Bron. First of the year.
Okay, I'm going to go 26-15. Packers win.
That's a weird score.
Yeah.
It's pretty okay. I'm gonna go with 28-20. That's my score prediction. We should put something on the line here. Otherwise, we're just throwing out numbers.
Numbers are fun.
Okay, numbers are
What do you
fun.
want to put on the line?
I don't know. We'll figure that out next week. But that's going to do it for today's episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you've listened this far, rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It helps a lot. Share it with your friends and family. Send us a DM if you liked it. Make sure to follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at Today in Titletown, at Today Titletown on Twitter. And you can follow me on Instagram at AllDayPackers and Bron at Lambo.Leapers. And is that everything? I think that's everything. So we'll see you after the Packers are 1-0. Go Pack Go.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Go Pack Go. Welcome to the regular season. Go Pack Go.